singing One Elephant, and you're going from the first phrase to the second, or from the A to the B, A ends on a different note than what B starts on. You might initially have to help them with that starting, but you're going from Re to Sol, and they weren't getting that Sol.
Right.
You know, so you could just vocalize the Sol for them, even if you said bum while they were singing on, the word on. You know, that'll help that initial interval. Yeah, that's what it's called. I started tallying how many times Kiefer was not ready. Just for my own head, not so much for yours, because I know you know. The rest on beat 4 or a half note on beat 3.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's why I switched to the pencil thing, because I realized, oh, that's a half note. So I was making sure that I was holding it longer with my voice, and I asked which note is longer, and then when they were clapping and they were still thinking it was a rest on the end, then when we swiped, they got it eventually.
Now with ADHD kids, or ADD kids, whichever, they're more HD, it seems to me. This is only speculation, it's not a diagnosis. Doing the swipe thing that Bill does might be better, because Ben was kind of all over the place with that. He was swiping and tapping, and you know, and then Kiefer, you know, he was doing it, but it was like his half note was going off.
And he was so anxious to write it. Like every time he heard it, he wanted to write it right away. He didn't want to repeat it back. And he was making mistakes. So I think if he would have followed what I wanted him to do, he would have been more successful.
But is that typical Kiefer behavior?
I don't know, because last week he was doing my procedure, but I hadn't given them the paper yet, and he didn't know how to write it yet. Okay. So I think now he kind of knows, and
I think that is indicative of Kiefer behavior, where he listens to the first part of it and then jumps to, you know, he's not gonna. Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna listen to your full sentence. I'm only gonna listen to the first half of it, and then I know what to do now. You know, and it happened a couple of times. So bringing his attention to it, Kiefer, you really need to listen to everything I say, so that you can be more successful when you do it. You know, and maybe just saying that. Yeah, so I would do the hand. Was it patch and?
Yeah, I'll try that with
patch and push, whatever you want to call it.
I always wish I had this trumpet class second on this lesson, because you know the flute lesson's gonna go perfect, and
but that is really what people want to see when you're doing a project or you're doing your observations, is that you have reflected and you have adjusted. I mean, if you don't adjust, then what's the whole point, you know? You addressed the non-singing before, and then you were letting it go now. And I wrote demand it. Still monotone for Kiefer when they stood up. Can you identify AJ's nice singing voice? What did I write? And then the thing about the singing the different sections. You thanked AJ. I like that. You know, I think it's important that a kid like that hear the positives, you know. I think both of them all of them need to hear more positives in their lives. I get the feeling that they can drive their teachers a little bit batty. I love the fact that you put the trumpet on the floor. That's a change from last week. You know, you adjusted for that. Way to go. So if you were to pick one thing that you would completely redo from this trumpet lesson to, if you had to redo this trumpet class, what would be the most important thing that you would redo? Or fix or change? Or
I think demanding at least one thing, if maybe the tapping, or just being ready no matter what I'm asking them to do.
Yeah, that's a great one. Because that's a skill that's gonna carry over in other things. So, you know, you can sing the wrong pitch all you want, you know, you can fix that later on, but that skill of being ready for kids like this.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
And it seems like they were most ready when we were playing their trumpet, because that's something that they do.
Which they'll do, I think, more next week, you know.
So we're going to play more next week, because once they have it written down, we're going to play it a lot. They're going to perform it themselves and yada, yada, yada.
Could you have played a little bit more today? Could you have incorporated playing a little bit more?
I thought about having them play just the rhythm, maybe on one note, but I worried that they would want to try to figure out the pitches, and that would take up time and take away from getting that task done.
Right.
Because Kiefer the whole time, what are the notes? I want to write the notes. I want to write the notes. And so especially with him. But still, yeah, I guess it would have been nice if they could play more, but.
If you were to do, I mean, and I'm not saying it's a wrong or right thing, it'd be interesting to see if you picked a note completely out of their ballpark. You know, it could be low B or low A that they're not used to playing. Let's try a new note and just do this rhythm. It has nothing to do with the song, but let's do the rhythm of the song.
Right.
F sharp, you know, something that's going to throw Kiefer off enough to not continue to try and get those notes, but still get them playing. Or you could burp it. You could do it on your mouthpiece.
That's good, yeah.
You could have them play, and if the singing doesn't work, you could always have them try and burp it on their mouthpieces. If they can sing it and play it there, then adding the trumpet's going to be much easier next week. So, yeah. See you next week if you can. No, I don't want to. If you find that you're having time when you do your lesson plan, when you're doing your procedure, see if you can add in using the burp.
Okay.
And if it's an issue to get your capstone, I don't want you to stop doing your capstone project. You know what I mean?
It's not though, because I was at the beginning of the next lesson gonna have them count the rhythm they have first.
Okay.
They could count it and then they could burp it.
Okay.
And then we could keep going.
But even with the burp, and I know we haven't worked a lot with the burp, but you can add fingering with the burp. So they are actually doing pitches. It's just not through the whole trumpet, but they're also getting that.
Could I do, like, once they have it written down and they're playing it individually, like one person's playing it on their trumpet and the other two are burping it?
Absolutely,
so
and that really steadies the pitch too, because burping you can start anywhere. You know, that does steady the pitch. You could have them burp it while you play it, but I know some teachers don't want to do that. They don't want to ever play with the kids. So yeah, having one of them play it, give them each an opportunity to play it. Kiefer's going to jump at that. He's going to want to do that. It's a great opportunity to show him, if you can be ready while we do this, I'm going to have you do it first, you know, and prep that in a positive way for him. Good? Yeah. I think this is going to be fine. And you got to teaching the second part of the song, which is great.
Yeah, and I'm glad it was on the slides, the whole song, because I realized I gave them this worksheet, it only had the first two phrases,
But that's a good thing for somebody like Kiefer, who's going to want to go home and try and figure out the whole song, which will throw next week's lesson out the window, because he'll already have some of it learned, probably not perfect, so you have to go reteach what he's made the mistake at home, while teaching Ben and AJ. That makes for a difficult lesson to try and manage, you know? So I'm glad you didn't put the second phrase on their homework assignment. And you gave them a homework assignment, very specific today.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, so I think it's going well. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. I can't wait to see the next one.
Me too.
Okay, we're done. Hope you like that, Dr. Haston.
I'm assuming he'll want me to give him video.